Rananim, and welcome to another episode of Talk Time with Morgan Cobbs. Good morning to my listeners here in Micronesia, those of you here in the FSM, Palau, Marshall Islands, Guam. Good morning, Rananim, Hafaday. And to my listeners back in the continental United States, good evening. To my folks on the East Coast, it's about dinner time right now, so hope you guys are enjoying your dinner while tuning in to Cobbs Corner, tuning in to Talk Time with Morgan Cobbs, excuse me. And yeah, we got a couple things to discuss. So first off, I think it is only proper that I acknowledge the passing of the late, great Carl Weathers. Carl Weathers, he has acted as Apollo Creed in the Rocky movies, in Rockies 1 through 4. He was in Predator, Action Jackson. So he's got a very, very extensive filmography. And on behalf of the entire Cobbs Corner family, on behalf of myself and all of our listeners, I would like to extend my condolences to the Weathers family. Our thoughts and prayers are with the Weathers family in their time of grief. Apparently, Carl Weathers, according to a statement that was made, he died peacefully in his sleep at the age of 76, which is, I guess it's semi. I don't want to say young, but I mean, it's like, I want to say that's like below average age. So definitely big RIP to Carl Weathers. I was just on social media or on YouTube. I remember I was watching like all the reactions from different co-stars, different actors, from Adam Sandler to Sylvester Stallone, of course, Arnold Schwarzenegger, So yeah, I mean, Carl Weathers, RIP. Now there's the question of, like, now that Carl Weathers has died, his character on The Mandalorian, the High Magistrate guy, his character on The Mandalorian, let me get the name right. Grief Karga, who is now like High Magistrate of the main planet that's on The Mandalorian. Big shout out to all the Star Wars fans. My question is, now that Carl Weathers has passed away, are they going to recast? Are they going to recast his character, Grief Karga? Personally, I think that maybe they should. I think if it's an important character, depending on how important the character is to the show. Like if it's an important character like Grief Karga, I think maybe they should recast. It depends like what their plans were going forward. Were they going to move forward with this character? Then yes, they should recast it. I think also same goes for Gina Carano, who is again also, filing like a lawsuit against Disney for like wrongful termination or whatever. I think personally, sidebar with Gina Carano, I was just watching Deadpool last week. I think she's a talented actress, and I'm not one to ever endorse cancel culture, ever. I think that people make mistakes. That said, as a celebrity, and this is something we need to stop doing in 2024, guys, all right? It's a new year. We need to stop relying upon these entertainers, these celebrities, to kind of put in their 2 cents into politics, into like social issues, into political issues that they previously have never spoken on. But they just feel obligated to put in their 2 cents so that way they won't get canceled. Only in the case of Gina Carano, she actually did get canceled simply for having a political opinion. I personally think celebrities need to stay out of politics. You're not a politician, okay? I don't care about what your political views are. If you're a rapper, singer, actor, who cares who you voted for or you're going to vote for? I think. Yeah, I personally think there needs to be separation of, politics and entertainment. Two different things. I think entertainers. Now that said, I mean, there's been a ton of entertainers who have used their platform to kind of, whether it's pushing the Black agenda forward or advocating for social justice. The Colin Kaepernicks. Big shout out to Colin Kaepernick. I mean, we got Super Bowl Sunday coming up. That's tomorrow. So, I mean, there's that, there's the case of Colin Kaepernick, but in the case of Gina Carano, I think she should have just stayed out of politics. She'd still have a job if she had just kept her mouth shut. All right, but she had a had some very positive things to say about Carl Weathers as well. I think with her character, instead of just I think they killed her off screen, or I'd have to go back and rewatch season 3 of The Mandalorian, but I don't think that Gina Carano's character, Cara Dune, Cara Dune. I don't think that Disney has or Lucasfilm has any plans on moving forward with Cara Dune at all, and I don't think that's exactly fair to the story. I think that with Cara Dune, they easily could have recast her role. I mean, let's not forget that Disney has recast characters in the past. They have recast, going back to the beginning of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Their second film was The Incredible Hulk, and Bruce Banner was originally played by Edward Norton in The Incredible Hulk. I think a lot of us forget that movie is even a part of the MCU. 2012, The Avengers. They recast Mark Ruffalo to play Bruce Banner. Same character, different actor. And he stuck with the role to this day. Very first MCU film, Iron Man. Rhodey was played by Terrence Howard. Iron Man 2, 2010, they recast the role to Don Cheadle. Same character, different role. Or same character, different actor in both cases. So I feel like they could do that with maybe with Cara Dune and possibly with Grief Karga. Possibly with Grief Karga, only because I mean Carl Weathers, he was so amazing as that character, and I feel like they were really gonna continue. Actually gonna go somewhere with that character. So I fully, in this particular case, endorse Disney deciding to recast Grief Karga. And I think that the whole recasting of actors should be on a case-by-case basis. I think it really depends on who the actor was, the kind of impact that they had, what the studio planned on doing with that character going forward. Were they planning on continuing with that character, or was this kind of it for the character to begin with? So yeah. But in the case of Grief Karga and Cara Dune, I say recast them. Let's get somebody new in there, recast. Even with William Hurt, William Hurt, God rest his soul, he passed away March of, I think, last year or year before last. And William Hurt, played Thaddeus Ross. Yes, he passed away March 13th, 2022. So he had played Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross in The Incredible Hulk. And then he shows up again as the Secretary of State, as Secretary Ross in Captain America Civil War, Avengers Infinity War. He shows up to Tony Stark's funeral at the end of Avengers Endgame. And then, although although chronologically, Black Widow takes place before Avengers Infinity War. It takes place between Civil War and Infinity War. That was his last time portraying his last time portraying Thaddeus Ross was in 2021's Black Widow. And then he passed away a year later. So, but it has been announced that Harrison Ford will be playing Thaddeus Ross going forward. He will be playing Thaddeus Ross in Captain America Brave New World, which is set to come out next year. Again, we're only getting Deadpool 3. Deadpool 3 will be the only Marvel movie this year, which honestly for me, sigh of relief. So yeah, that, and I think Harrison Ford is going to do a good job. But Ford has also stressed the fact that he is in the sunset of his acting career. You know, I mean, Harrison Ford, he's in his 80s now. The last Indiana Jones movie really wasn't that good. I'm hoping that they don't do another one. I'm hoping that this is the end of the Indiana Jones franchise. And Harrison Ford has already said, I think he said in an interview a few years back, that he does not want anybody to take on the role of Indiana Jones after him. He wants the role to die with him. So I think, post-writer strike, with AI and everything, something that actors are going to have to be specific about when they sign contracts with these studios is, if I die while we're still in production, if I die while we're still in production or like between seasons, what do I want to be done to this character? Do I give the studio consent to recast the character, or do I want my character to be killed off screen? I think that's something that maybe if Chadwick Boseman, RIP, if Chadwick Boseman, when filming the first Black Panther, if he had somehow been given the option of as to whether or not he gives the studio rights to use his image and likeness after he passes away, and whether or not he wants the role to be recast, like, I feel like actors should have some say in that. And then also when you put together your wills, all right, I mean, case in point, the Flash movie, which was really average. The Flash, I saw it in theaters last summer. It was really average. Don't really know what's going on with DC right now. There's the infamous scene where they use Christopher Reeve's image and likeness. Christopher Reeve, I think. Christopher Reeve is his last name. No S. Christopher Reeve, who played Superman in the 70s. Yeah, in the 70s and 80s, the 70s and 80s Superman movies. And after playing Superman, he had a terrible horseback riding accident. If he had a terrible horseback riding accident, feel free to look that up. I'm not going to go into greater detail for the purpose of this episode. But he passed away, I want to say, back in 2004, and with his struggle with paralysis and everything, and then for Warner Bros. To just do that, to just use his image and likeness the way that they did. If you've seen The Flash, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, that was just terrible. And the movie did come out during the writer's strike too. So I just feel like, actors, when they put together their wills, when you write your will, your last will and testament, that's something that's going to have to be specified, is whether or not you give any studio that you've worked with over the course of your career, whether or not you give the studio the right to use your image and likeness. I think those are conversations that need to happen now. I mean, now that we're, post-writer strike and Hollywood's back up and running, these are the conversations that we need to have, folks. I mean, because a lot of times it just goes up to your estate. It's up to whoever runs your estate, and they're probably looking for money. They probably just want money. So, I mean, Christopher Reeve's estate probably made a ton of money off of them using his image and likeness in The Flash. So I think that's something that the actors are going to have to be specific about with these studios and with their wills. whether or not you want your role to be recast, whether or not you give these studios the right to use your image and likeness. So, yeah. So, yeah, that's the opening rant. Again, RIP, Carl Weathers. As you all may know, the month of February is Black History Month. Now, I am not currently in the United States. All right. you guessed it. It's in the title, Black History Month. I am not currently in the United States. I'm in the, Federated States of Micronesia, where Black History Month is not something that's particularly celebrated out here. Not yet. But yeah, I've watched a few Black History movies recently. Training Day, Training Day with Denzel Washington. I'm not sure if I call that one a Black History Month movie, or I have that movie in my Black Lives Matter collection or anything like that. But Training Day, Training Day, Denzel, he finally won his Oscar for Training Day. He definitely won his Oscar for Training Day. I realize it is Oscar season. Me personally, I don't really keep track of the Emmys, the Grammys, Oscars. I don't really watch any of that. So but yeah, he had March 10th. It is Oscar season. March 10th is the Oscars, the 96th Academy Awards. So Training Day, I thought it was a good movie. It's a good movie. A lot of action. There's a lot of questions about morality. I mean, it came out in a good year. 2001, I want to say, is the year it came out. So yeah. Ethan Hawke was amazing in that movie. Ethan Hawke, who trying to think, what movie did I see him in recently? I think he was in Black Phone. I think Black Phone he was in. But Ethan Hawke was amazing in this movie as sort of like the guy who's, the new cop who's on a ride along, and and really the movie it's not a real time movie. I mean, the movie, it takes place over the course of one day, really, and dives into crooked cops and drug dealers, and Denzel Washington is phenomenal. It has just a really, really, really amazing cast, crew. It's just an all around great film, and I think it's still on Netflix. Yep, I think it's still on Netflix, but I definitely loved the sort of banter, I guess, between Ethan Hawke and Denzel Washington. They sort of complement each other. It's like Alonzo Harris, Denzel's character Alonzo Harris, and then Ethan Hawke's character Jake Hoyt. I think they sort of played off of each other pretty well. Denzel, he just gives his own gravity and perspective and his own energy to every role that he plays. Whether if it's Malcolm X or Alonzo Harris or Frank Lucas, he just brings his own sort of swagger to each role. And that's why he's one of my all-time favorite actors, for sure. One of my all-time favorite actors. Eva Mendes is in this movie. She plays Alonzo's mistress. And Eva Mendes, who hasn't really acted much these days. We got Dr. Dre, Cliff Curtis, who I feel like who I feel like he has portrayed many different ethnicities on screen. Cliff Curtis. Really, my introduction to him was in Fear the Walking Dead. So, yeah, I think he was like the father in Fear the Walking Dead, season 1. So definitely check out Training Day. Ethan Hawke, his daughter, Maya Hawke, who's the daughter of Uma Thurman and Ethan Hawke. Maya Hawke, she was on Stranger Things recently. Yes. She was on Stranger Things. She played I can't think of the character's name at the moment, but she was on Stranger Things, and her acting career is kind of taken off. It's nice to see families in Hollywood. Nice to see like some Hollywood dynasties. I mean, even Denzel Washington's son, John David Washington, his acting career is taking off. He was great in Beckett. He was great in BlacKkKlansman. I think he was in the movie The Creator recently, which I heard didn't do too well at the box office. So the Washingtons, the Hawks, the O'Shea Jacksons, Ice Cube and his son O'Shea Jackson Jr. So I think it's nice to see sort of not passing of the baton, but sort of a lighting of the torch of the next generation of Hollywood. I personally think that it's not a bad thing when you have like families in Hollywood, like Hollywood royalty, nepotism in Hollywood. I think it has a negative connotation, but it's got a positive side too, I think. Like the Russells, Kurt Russell and Wyatt Russell. Although I'm not familiar with the show, there's a show on Apple TV Plus called I think Monarch: Legacy of Monsters, and both Kurt and Wyatt Russell, they play the same character, but Kurt Russell plays the older version, and then Wyatt Russell plays the younger version. So I think that's a nice kind of way for their father and son to kind of play off each other. Plus, Kurt Russell has even said that he's ready to retire as well. So we're really kind of starting to see like a passing of the torch. So yeah, check out Training Day. Training Day. It is currently streaming on Netflix. Let's see. Screenplay by David Ayer. Distributed by Warner Bros. Productions. I'm gonna check the Rotten Tomatoes page real quick, and then we got to move on to the next movie I wanted to talk about. Critics' consensus: the ending may be less than satisfying, but Denzel Washington reminds us why he's such a great actor in this taut and brutal police drama. Perfectly said by the critics on Rotten Tomatoes. Big shout out to Rotten Tomatoes. 74% on Rotten Tomatoes, 74% critical score, 89% audience score, which is great. Yeah, just all around. I won't say it's great. It's good. It's a good movie. All right. Next movie I want to talk about, in honor of Black History Month. Crooklyn, a Spike Lee joint. Crooklyn with Althea Woodard, Isaiah Washington, Spike Lee, of course, Zelda Harris, Delroy Lindo, David Patrick Kelly, RuPaul. Yeah, Crooklyn. It's a great movie. I think it's a great movie about growing up Black in Brooklyn. I think it's set in like the 1970s. I think so. I've heard that it's supposed to be like an autobiographical sort of thing with Spike Lee. It's autobiographical about him growing up in Brooklyn in the 70s. So yeah. So yeah, I think the movie talks about, well, again, critics' consensus, a personal project that warmly reflects on director Spike Lee's childhood. Crooklyn is an episodic celebration of family and the indelible facets of one's hometown. 79% critical score, 90% audience score. I'm with the audience on this one. It is definitely a family movie, and I definitely believe that in the Black community, and I feel like I need to say this for Black History Month, the movie emphasizes not just the theme of family, but the theme of like the Black family as a family unit. The two-parent households, with a mother and a father. Mother and a father. And I think that, I've heard, statistically speaking, there are more Black fathers that are present in their children's lives than aren't. It's a stereotype that, us Black kids are raised by our moms and single parent households. And, that's the stereotype. But I definitely think we need more films like Crooklyn today. I think. I think we need more films like Crooklyn today, because they emphasize the importance of the Black family as a unit. I think that if we as a community didn't put so much emphasis on politics, didn't put so much faith into politics. I remember I was watching The Breakfast Club, and I think this was maybe like almost 5 years ago. I think it was 2019. Brother Nuri Muhammad, big shout out to Brother Nuri Muhammad, the Nation of Islam, Farrakhan. I got nothing but love and support for you all. For the Nation of Islam, I got nothing but love and support for my brothers in the Nation of Islam. Although I'm not a member of the nation, I'm a supporter. So anyway, Brother Nuri Muhammad, he had said how one of the biggest mistakes that Black people have made since the civil rights movement, since the 1950s and 60s, one of the biggest mistakes that we've made is putting too much trust and too much time and money and effort and trust into politics, into politicians to fight our battles, into policies and agendas. We put too much emphasis into that and not enough emphasis into spiritual and economic reform for our people. And I believe that begins with reestablishing the Black family as a unit. All right, getting our houses in order. Sorry, as I hit the mic. Getting our houses in order and raising our children in stable two-parent households. When I say two-parent, I mean a mother and a father. Not two moms, not two dads, mother and a father. Yes, that is what we need. That is what we need. All right. Stable two-parent households. All right. I think it is important for our boys to see positive male role models in life. It is important for our boys to be raised by a mother and a father, for them to know who their fathers are growing up, to have that positive role model, that positive example, and to have that positive and healthy relationship with their fathers from a young age. We don't need more, Black politicians, more Black mayors, governors, presidents. We need more Black fathers. We need to rebuild fathers, reestablish the Black family as a unit. That is how we bring about change in our communities. All right. We start our own businesses. We have, Black fathers who are, entrepreneurs, who are honest, working men and women as well, Black fathers and Black mothers. We need to reestablish the family unit. Yes, reestablish that family unit. And I think Spike Lee has said in interviews, I think he was interviewed by Pharrell a number of years ago. He had said how his generation of essentially folks growing up in 60s, 70s, the last generation before crack, BC, before crack, before the crack era of we'll say the 1980s, maybe into the early 90s, the Reagan administration maybe into the early Clinton administration. So, all the 80s into the early 90s, the crack era, which then tore families apart. Our communities were flooded. Our communities were flooded with drugs. Our families were separated. So his generation was the last generation to grow up with the Black family as a unit. Then the crack era came in, mass incarceration. And the Black family was torn apart. So we need, as a community, reestablish the Black family. And that means creating jobs, opportunities in our own communities, having our own banks, rebuilding Black Wall Street. You've seen me wear the hat. I think I've worn the hat in previous episodes. It's a hat I have called Make Black Wall Street Great Again. Big shout out to 1701 Vintage or Vintage 1701, the clothing brand based out of Detroit, Michigan. So big salute to Vintage 1701. Rebuild Black Wall Street. Make Black Wall Street great again. Reestablish the Black families. Two-parent families where the mother and the father are married. Married. Not dating, not engaged. Married. That is what we need. That's what we need in our communities. That is how we are able to change. Long term, sure, change the world, but that is how we bring about change in our own communities. We have to reestablish our communities, reestablish our businesses, our families, all right? And it starts with us. It starts with the people. So that's why I love Crooklyn so much. It did have a sad ending. I'm not going to go into spoiler detail, but we need movies that celebrate the Black family. Celebrate our Black family. Celebrate our Black fathers, our Black mothers. That is what we need. Well, celebrate our fathers in general. I feel like fathers, we are in the age of toxic masculinity. So I feel like for the fathers who are there, the fathers who are active in their child's lives, they get pushed to the wayside. They don't get the attention. They don't get the praise that they deserve on Father's Day. Mother's Day, and shout out to all the mothers who are listening to English. Shout out to all the mothers who listen to Cobbs Corner, and shout out to all the fathers who listen to Cobbs Corner as well. Big salute to all of you. But on Father's Day, the fathers, those that are there, many of them in this heightened culture of anti-men, essentially. I think that sure there's feminism, and then there's feminism, but then I just worry that it's gotten out of hand to the point where now there's an anti-men agenda. All men, even the good ones, even those that are actually doing something positive with their lives, even those that don't hate women, those that aren't misogynists. those that actually do wish to have positive and healthy relationships with women and with people in general, those who have, worked on themselves and want to level up in life and become the best version of themselves and actually want to do something positive with their lives. Those men get lumped in with all of the bad guys as well. So there's a lot of fathers, there's a lot of good men in society and in the world that don't get the praise that they deserve, that don't receive their flowers while they're here. They just don't. They just don't. And I'd say maybe that's a bit of toxic femininity. Feel free to have at it in the comments, but I mean that's a bit of like toxic femininity, is not giving the good men who actually are raising their children, who are actually active in their children's lives, who are actually productive members of society, who aren't in the streets, who are doing something positive with their lives. They don't get the attention, they don't get the praise that they deserve simply because they have a Y chromosome. Therefore, they're evil. So that's something we need to stop doing in 2024, folks. All right? Stop it. It's silly. Fix it. Last movie I'll talk about for today is kind of a comedy. I think I posted about it on social media. If you guys follow my Instagram, you'll know that I posted about it. Posted about it a few weeks ago when it came out. I'm talking about the movie The Underdogs. The Underdogs, which stars Snoop Dogg, Mike Epps, who else? Snoop Dogg, Mike Epps, George Lopez, Teak Sumter. So we got some up and coming names. Andrew Schultz, some up and comers, and yeah, a bunch of child actors. Critics' consensus on Rotten Tomatoes: Snoop Dogg remains an appealing screen presence at The Underdogs, and The Underdogs offers its share of laughs. But this crass youth sports comedy isn't doing anything audiences haven't seen done better before. 40% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 57% audience score. I would have maybe given it a 60%. I wouldn't have been as overly critical of The Underdogs. And I get that the movie is rated R. So, for those of you that are under 18, you should not be watching The Underdogs. It is an R-rated film for sure. I forget what the age requirement is for R-rated films. I can't remember if it's 17 or 18, but point is, if you're a minor, you should not be watching this movie for sure. I liked it though. I liked it. I don't really agree with Rotten Tomatoes on this one. I think it was a fun movie about, former NFL, superstar, former NFL, legend who then kind of falls off, and then due to destruction of property, he ends up getting sentenced to community service in Long Beach, which is the community that he's from. It's the city that he's from originally. And he ends up coaching a Pop Warner football team. Yes, I do think that this movie recycles from other films, maybe Dodgeball from 2004, which is a raunchy comedy with Ben Stiller and Vince Vaughn. It's not the exact same film, but it's similar. It's an underdog story. Also, there's a movie Rebound with Martin Lawrence from like 2005, where he plays a an NCAA coach that gets fired and then has to go coach an NCAA basketball coach who ends up getting fired and then goes back to his hometown and then ends up going back to his hometown and has to coach the basketball team at a junior high. Yeah, he ends up coaching a middle school basketball team. So yeah, it's similar. It's been done before. I mean, Snoop Dogg just essentially starring as himself. I've never thought of him as an actor. I've always thought of him as an artist. As an artist, maybe as an entertainer. But I feel like he pretty much just stars as himself in every role, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I just feel like I see him everywhere. I mean, that man he just does anything at this point. But yeah, check out The Underdogs on Amazon Prime. Yeah, it's a Prime original film. Check out The Underdogs, Amazon Prime. It's a fun movie. Fun movie, a bit raunchy. There's a lot of strong language in the movie. So definitely be prepared. It is like loosely based on Snoop Dogg's real life Coach Snoop program. I think there's actually a show on Netflix, Coach Snoop. But Snoop Dogg, he actually does have a football program that brings together youth of all ages, races, backgrounds, and like teaches them the values of teamwork through the sport of football, and inspiring them to let them know that they can be anything that they want to be in this life, which is a very, very important message. It's the message that I wish to convey as a teacher as well. As a teacher, I mean, I tell my students the same thing, that you can be anything you want in this life. All right. You can be anything you want in this life. Don't let anyone tell you no. Don't let anyone tell you that you cannot achieve all that you want to achieve in life. So I think that's like the underlying message of the movie. And it's a bit of a self-referential project for Snoop Dogg. I understand that. So check out The Underdogs on Amazon Prime when you have a moment. Like I said, it's a fun movie. No, it's not worthy of definitely not like Oscar worthy or really any award show worthy, but it's not Razzie worthy either. It's not worthy of like a Razzie either. No. So definitely check out the Underdogs. It's called the Underdogs, but Underdogs with 2 G's. So definitely check out The Underdogs on Amazon Prime. So that's all for movies. I'm going to talk about Catholic Schools Week. Not this past week, but week before last, 2 weeks ago, was Catholic Schools Week. Now, Catholic Schools Week is an annual week-long event where the 3 Catholic schools that are here on the island. So there's Xavier High School, which is where I teach, Xavier High School, Micronesia, along with St. Cecilia School, which is, I think, a K through 8 school. And then there's one other Catholic high school on the island, which is Saramanchuk Academy, which is actually right next to Holy Family Church. Big shout out to Saramanchuk Academy. Big shout out to St. Cecilia. Shout out to the blue team. The blue team. We were on the blue team. I think they divided us all up into like different color teams. I was on the blue team. We went down to the baseball field, Anderson Field here on the island of Weta. And it was like a day-long event. Mass in the morning. First, we had Mass at Holy Family. That was at like 8 o'clock in the morning. And we had mass followed by field day at Anderson Field. Lunch was provided. There were field events. I did the racing event where you had to like run over and like grab the bat, and then you had to like twist around the bat, and then so yeah. Overall, that was a very fun day. It was nice to see students from other schools. Nice to see all of the Xavier students present and cheering on their fellow navigators. Nice to see students from St. Cecilia, students from Saramanchuk Academy. Overall, it was a fun experience. And then throughout the week, we had events here on campus. We had different field events here on campus as well. So yeah, that was overall, it was a fun event. Fun time. Just yesterday, we had, and I'm recording this on Sunday, so yesterday for us was Saturday, because we're a day ahead out here. Just yesterday, we had a basketball tournament. We had a basketball tournament, which reminds me, actually, Underdogs is kind of similar to Uncle Drew. We had a basketball tournament on campus. It was students only, I think. Well, it was a school-wide basketball tournament. So we had the boys. They divided themselves up into teams, and it was like a 3-on-3 tournament. Like each game was like 5 minutes. Single elimination. Yeah, single elimination. We had like 2 regular rounds, then the semifinals, and then the finals, and semifinals, the finals. There was a faculty team. I did not join. I mean, sports are not really my thing. Despite me being tall, despite me being 6'1", and it's like, sure, I could be a rebounder, but basketball is just not really my cup of tea. Ironically, I'm the opposite of the stereotype. I don't play ball. I do know how to swim. So yeah, I do know how to swim. I do not play basketball. So big shout out to the dream team that won. You know who you are. Big shout out to the dream team. They called themselves the student team that won. The prize was 4 bags of Takis, a brand new basketball, and we had 4 like iced teas or something like that. So yeah, I mean, big shout out to the dream team, and shout out to everybody who played in the tournament, because you guys played your hearts out. So nice to just bring all the boys together, for us to just have a school-wide event on a Saturday. Could have done anything else in the world. Could have been anywhere in the world, but you decided to show up to the basketball court at Xavier High School. Are you ready for the basketball tournament? It's been a while since I've made a Hamilton reference, guys. I think this is probably like the longest I've gone between Hamiltonian references. I'm not entirely sure what episode was the last Hamilton reference. Feel free to go back and listen to the other 73 episodes of this podcast if you haven't already. This is the 74th episode. But yeah, that was yesterday. Yesterday was the basketball tournament. It was really fun. Had a great time. I caught a lot of out of bounds balls. Yeah, balls that went out of bounds. Yeah, so it's funny. I was saying, like, it's street ball. There's no fouls. There's no fouls in street ball. Like, let me know. I mean, it's like NBA blacktop. It's like, we're not calling fouls or anything like that. Let me know if you guys want me to review the movie Rebound or the movie Uncle Drew. Underdog stories are really kind of they're not a movie genre per se, but they're movies that I think could use some attention. I think. Anyway. So yeah, that was Catholic Schools Week. We are now in the second half of the third quarter. This past Friday was mid-quarter. February 9th was mid-quarter. My goodness, I can't believe that we are honestly closer and closer to the end of the year. This school year has kind of been flying by, and I realize, again, the whole no regular upload schedule and the whole talk time with Morgan Cobbs only every other Sunday, and so thank you all of you for bearing with me. I feel like I say this every episode, but thank you all for bearing with me throughout my time here in Micronesia. And I will be back in the States this summer, so maybe the uploading might get consistent eventually. No promises. I don't want to, make promises I can't keep. But with the last few minutes of today's episode, I realized that this Wednesday, it's Valentine's Day. Yeah. Apparently that's a thing that people celebrate in the world. So, Valentine's Day for me, I always watch the movie, and I feel like it's a bit of a cult classic, kind of. Always Be My Maybe. Always Be My Maybe with Ali Wong, Randall Park, Keanu Reeves as himself. Keanu Reeves, literally, he plays himself in this movie. This movie, it is the perfect mixture of just humor, heart. Yeah. Perfect mixture of just humor and heart and nostalgia and a bit of 90s nostalgia, I'm sure. Again, I wasn't alive in the 90s, but nostalgia for, I guess, older individuals. It's just an all-around great film. It's a romantic comedy. I usually don't really gravitate towards rom-coms. I feel like as a guy, there's a stereotype that you're not supposed to gravitate towards rom-coms or they're chick flicks Always Be My Maybe came out in 2019. I watch it every year on Valentine's Day. Came out May 29th, 2019. It's on Netflix. Check it out. 89% on Rotten Tomatoes, 6.8 out of 10 on IMDb. Childhood sweethearts have a falling out and don't speak for 15 years, only reconnecting as adults when Sasha runs into Marcus in San Francisco. Although the old sparks are still there, the couple live in different worlds. Critics' consensus. Carried by the infectious charms of Ali Wong and Randall Park, Always Be My Maybe takes familiar romantic rom-com beats and cleverly layers in smart social commentary to find its own sweet groove. Yeah. This the clever social commentary. Ali Wong is just a very, very talented actress, comedian. She's a very, very funny individual. Randall Park, also. Sorry, I keep yawning. It's only 9:00 in the morning over here. Randall Park is also very entertaining. He's always entertaining to watch. Daniel Day Kim is in this movie. He doesn't really do much. He's sort of the fiance who then breaks off the engagement. Vivian Bang as well. Susan Park. Michelle Buteau. James Saito. I do realize that the month of May is Asian and Pacific Islander month. No. Karan Soni. He's always entertaining to watch as well. I was literally just watching Deadpool 2 the other day. Dopinder, yeah. Yeah, check out Always Be My Maybe. That's usually my Valentine's Day go-to. Friday night, I did watch 10 Things I Hate About You with the late Heath Ledger, R.I.P., along with everybody else who's in that film. I was wondering, why haven't I seen this movie already? The black English teacher, his name is Mr. Morgan. He's one of those literally me characters. He's literally me. And this movie came out 25 years ago. I'm thinking, like, my goodness, why have I not seen this movie sooner? Because I've seen Not Another Teen Movie. And I know Not Another Teen Movie, I know they parodied one of the scenes from 10 Things I Hate About You was parodied in Not Another Teen Movie. The scene where Chris Evans sings Jenny's Got a Gun. Jenny, he sings a song for Jenny. Like, I realize now that they were parodying 10 Things I Hate About You. So yeah, I mean, that movie was pretty good. Pretty good. I was watching a video on the React channel. Shout out to the React channel. It was like guys versus chick flicks, and it was like they would have shots from certain chick flicks and like different quotes from chick flicks, and like they would see, do guys know these iconic lines from chick flicks? And one of the flicks was 10 Things I Hate About You. I'm thinking, I gotta watch this movie now. 10 Things I Hate About You, along with Legally Blonde was another one. Legally Blonde, which again came out in a really good year, 2001. Still, I haven't seen that one. Haven't seen Clueless. There's a lot of chick flicks that I haven't seen, guys. I have seen all 3 Pitch Perfects, though, guys. I've seen all 3 Pitch Perfects. Second one's my favorite. Yeah, second one's my favorite. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below, guys. What are your Valentine's Day movie go-tos? If any of you say Deadpool, round of applause. Round of applause, because Deadpool is definitely a Valentine's Day go-to for me. For me, it's Deadpool, and then I always watch Always Be My Maybe. So yeah. That's kind of my Valentine's Day go-to. It's also Ash Wednesday. In the Catholic Church. Now, being that I myself am a Christian, again, the shirt I'm wearing, love God, love people. Here, I'll stand up. Oh, well, okay. Do the work. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it says love God, love people, and then do the work of the kingdom. That is the slogan of New Vision International Ministries in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Big shout out to New Vision International Ministries, NVIM, New Vision family. Big shout out to you all. I miss you guys. So I am a Christian, although I am not Catholic. And Lent is something that I've maybe done in the past from time to time. Lent is used to, and I'll end with this today. Lent is a 40-day period. It's a 40-day fasting period that is used to commemorate the 40 days that Jesus spent in the wilderness. And Lent, it starts on Ash Wednesday and ends on Easter. Ash Wednesday is 40 days before Easter. So Easter's coming up in a little over a month, which is crazy. The year is flying by, guys. Ash Wednesday this year just so happens to fall on Valentine's Day as well. So yeah. I think it's important to fast. It's important to fast, push away the plate. I know New Vision, we do our 21-day fast in December. We do it at the end of the year. Some churches do their 21-day fast at the start of the year in January. We do ours at the end of the year. so we have a clear vision going into the new year. But yeah, 40 days of Lent. And then before that is Mardi Gras, which is, Carnival, Carnival, which has been secularized. It's been secularized. It started out as something, Fat Tuesday, because traditionally Catholics, at least I think in Europe, they would go pescatarian for the 40 days. So for the 40 days, it'd be no beef, no chicken, and no pork. They go pescatarian for the 40 days. So Mardi Gras, they had to eat all the meat that they had, like, left over, because it wasn't going to stay frozen and stay, fresh for the 40 days. So it's like Mardi Gras. It's like, all right, here's the last day. You have to eat all the meat that you want, Fat Tuesday, Mardi Gras. Big shout out to my listeners in France. Vive la France. But over the years, it's become secularized. It's lost its meaning. Mardi Gras, I feel like there's people who aren't even religious who celebrate Mardi Gras, or who will be like throwing beads at Mardi Gras. Like, shout out to my listeners in New Orleans, in the state of Louisiana, but particularly New Orleans. Can't wait to visit. Can't wait to visit New Orleans, visit Baton Rouge one of these days. Just be throwing beads at Mardi Gras, and many of them don't even know the meaning behind Mardi Gras. And I mean, around this time last year, in Brazil, they had their carnival where they were literally making fun of Jesus. They were mocking God. They were worshiping Satan. They had whole floats, whole big sets as shrines to demons, as shrines to Satan. They were worshiping Satan and making fun of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And the very next day, there was a storm. It was a huge storm. That very same street that people were marching down and like celebrating Satan, that street was wiped out with a storm the next day. That was a mess around and find out moment for Brazil. So, pray for Brazil, of course. Shout out to any and all of my listeners who are Brazilian, who are from Brazil, listeners in Brazil that I've got. Big shout out to all of you. I realize in the state of Connecticut, particularly in my hometown, there's a large Brazilian population, large Portuguese and Brazilian population, actually. People from Portugal, some people from Brazil. So a big shout out to my Portuguese-speaking listeners. But I think now is a better time than ever for us to reclaim Mardi Gras, reclaim the season of Lent, reclaim Carnival, reclaim what it means to fast, what it means to push away the plate, what it means to truly pray and consecrate ourselves before the Lord. That is my prayer for all of you, regardless of what you believe in. Whether you're Catholic, Protestant, what have you. So that is all for today's edition of Talk Time with Morgan Cobbs. If you like what you heard today, don't forget to give us a review wherever you're listening from, and follow Cobbs Corner on social media. That's Instagram, Threads, and TikTok to stay updated on all things Cobbs Corner. All that information will be in the description. If you're watching this on YouTube, it'll be in the description below. If you're listening to this on a podcast listening platform, it will be in the show notes below. If you made it to the end of this episode, I greatly appreciate it. Be sure to turn on those post notifications so that you get notified when I post. Don't forget, tune in to Talk Time with Morgan Cobbs. We go live every Sunday morning at 8 a.m. Well, every other Sunday morning at 8 a.m. True Standard Time, live on YouTube. We are available everywhere else the next day. Hope that you guys enjoyed your stay here at Cobbs Corner. Reminder, we are your one-stop shop for all things TV, film, and pop culture. And as always, I'll talk to all of you in the next episode. Peace.